Hello friends, today's flow is going to be a short hip opening flow. I hope that you enjoy it, and if you do, please leave a comment down below telling me what you liked about it, and I'll see you on the mat. Begin in a child's pose with your knees wide, feet together. Extend your arms out in front of you and then sink your hips back. Take a couple of breaths here, maybe bring your chin, your chest, or your forehead down towards the mat. And really just focus on pressing your hips down towards your heels. Settle in here for just one more big round of breath. And then slowly press up onto your hands and just rock forward and back, still with your knees wide and feet together. And this will just warm up your hips a little bit. And then come to neutral, wrists underneath shoulders, knees beneath hips. So take a couple rounds of cat-cow. Just inhale, pull your chest through. Exhale, chin in towards your chest. Inhale, pull your chest through. And exhale, chin in towards your chest. Take one more round. And then come to neutral. Just bring your hips side to side. Do whatever feels good to warm up your spine, warm up your hips. And then come back to neutral, and we're going to take 5 fire hydrants on the left side. So just bring your left knee out to the side 5 times. And on your last one, leave your leg out, straighten out your left leg, and then walk your hands forward into a kind of mix of puppy dog and gate pose. So your left leg is out straight and then your arms are reaching forward, chest towards the mat. This just works into your left hip a little bit. And slowly walk your hands up, stack your shoulders over your hips, and then bring your left arm down your left leg and reach your right arm over your head. Just a slight side body stretch on the right side. Walk your hands back forward, come back to neutral, and we're going to do this on the right side now. So take 5 fire hydrants on the right side, knee out to the side, keep your core square to the mat, and then your last one, straighten out your right leg, walk your hands forward, send your hips back, and just feel the stretch in your right hip. Just take about one more round of breath here. Big inhale and exhale. And then when you're ready, slowly walk your hands back in towards your body. Stack your shoulders over your hips and send your right arm down your right leg. Reach your left arm over. And then walk your hands forward. Come back to a neutral tabletop. And then tuck your toes, send your hips back into your first downward dog of the practice. Just pedal out your feet to warm up the backs of your legs. Maybe bring your hips from side to side. Just bring whatever movement into this posture that feels right in your body right now. Inhale, reach your right leg up. Bend your knee and open up your hip. And then slowly come off your right hand into a wild thing on this side. Straighten out your left leg, bend your right, and then reach your right arm towards the front of your mat, sending your hips up. Slowly bring your right hand back and come back to a 3-legged dog. And then exhale, step your foot in between your hands, and inhale, come up to a high lunge. And then send your left arm forward, right arm back, and reach your right arm back to your straight leg to get a nice hip flexor stretch on your left side. Big breath here, and then on your exhale, come back to neutral. Step forward in stork pose. So your left knee bent, And we're just going to take your knee out to the left and back to the center a couple times. You can do this with your hands on your hips or use your left hand to guide your knee out and back. Then on your next one, come back to neutral and then option to take big toe to hand pose here. Keep your shoulders square to the front of the mat, hips square to the front of the mat, and then bring your left leg out to the left. Back to neutral, and then hook your left foot on top of your right leg, coming into figure 4. Option to keep your hands at heart center, hands on your hips, or maybe bring your fingertips down to the mat to deepen the stretch a little bit more through your left hip. Take one more big round of breath here, really breathing into the stretch. And then wherever you're at, come back up, send your left leg back into a high lunge, plant your left hand, reach your right arm up, keep your hips squeezed together, and then exhale, dip your left hip down, bring your right arm back. This is a nice outer hip stretch on the right side. And then inhale, reach your right arm up, exhale, send it back. Inhale, reach, exhale, back. Inhale, reach, exhale, back. One final time. Inhale, reach, pivot your hips towards the front of the mat, send your right leg back, and then option to take a vinyasa here or meet me in downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, we're going to take this on the next side. So inhale, reach your left leg up. Bring that same bend into your left leg and just open up your hip here. Feel the nice stretch through your left hip, and then slowly come off your left hand, send your left leg back, and come into wild thing on the next side. Really press your hips towards the sky, open your chest towards the sky, and just feel the nice hip opening here. Slowly bring your left hand back and send your left leg up in the air, and then exhale, step it in between your hands, coming into a high lunge on the left side. Then take a big inhale, and on your next exhale, reach your right arm forward, left arm back, and then bring your left hand to your right leg and to come into an exalted lunge for the nice hip flexor stretch all through your right side. Then on your next inhale, come back to neutral, press off your back leg and come into stork pose with your left leg down. You're going to just open your right hip out to the right with the bent leg, option to keep your hands on your hip or use your right hand to guide your knee out and back. Option to take big toe to hand pose on this side and then send your right leg out to the right. I have a window in the way here so I couldn't do it, but right leg out to the right, bring your gaze over to the left, and then come back to neutral, hook your right foot on top of your left leg and come into figure 4 on the left side. Option to bring your hands down to the mat or keep them at heart's center. Take one more big round of breath here and then come back to neutral, unhook your foot, send your right leg back, and then plant your right hand down. Come onto the outsides of both feet, send your right hip down and reach your left arm back. Your next inhale, press your hips up, reach your arm forward, and then exhale, arm back, hips down. Reach forward and exhale, hip down, reach forward, and then come back to neutral, step your foot back, and then option to take a vinyasa or again, meet me in downward facing dog. In downward facing dog, maybe pedal out your feet for a second and then take your feet out wide. And then keep your left hand planted and reach your right arm to your left ankle. Just get a nice outer hamstring and outer hip stretch here. Take one more breath and then plant your right hand and reach your left arm back towards your right ankle. Really try to pull your chest through here. The harder you pull, the deeper the stretch will be. But don't overdo it. And then exhale, plant your left hand, and then step or hop your feet to the outsides of your hands, send your hips down, and come into Malasana or yogi squat. Press the backs of your arms into the insides of your knees, and the insides of your knees into the backs of your arms, and just really feel the stretch through your hips. Try to pull your chest through and keep your back straight. Try not to bend over forward here. And then inhale, halfway lift, step your left leg back and come into a lizard lunge on the right side. Find a little bit of movement here, maybe just rocking your hips side to side. Option to stay here on your hands or come down onto your forearms. Again, invite a little bit of movement into your body. And then again, option to stay here or come onto the outside of your right foot and reach your right arm back for your left foot. This will get you a little bit of a quad stretch, a little bit deeper into the hip flexor on the left leg. And then wherever you're at, heel toe your right foot over to the left, coming into a pigeon prep pose. Get settled into your positioning here, and then exhale, forward fold over your front leg. Maybe your chest comes all the way down to the mat, maybe bring your forehead to a block. Just relax into this posture. We tend to store emotions in our hips, so if this flow is bringing out some emotion for you, that is absolutely normal. On your next inhale, walk your hands back in, press your hips up, straighten out your right leg, and then dip your hips back down onto the mat, and then just rock forward and back, kind of with a little micro movement here. Then plant your right hand and send your hips up, coming into a fallen triangle pose. And exhale, bring your hips back, plant your left hand, come back into a plank pose, an option to take a vinyasa or meet me in downward facing dog. And then again, going to bring our feet wide. You can step or hop your feet to the outsides of your hands, come into a yogi squat. We're just going to hang here for just a second. Option 2, maybe dip your knees down in front of you for a little bit of a mobility drill, or you can just stay in yogi squat. Take one more round of that. And then we're going to bring our hips up, step your right leg back, and come into a lizard lunge on the left side. Rock forward and back, drop your back knee, and then maybe find some movement side to side, continuing to work into your hips a little bit more. Option again to stay on your hands or come down onto your forearms. Continue to find that micro movement here through your hips. Option to come onto the outside of your left foot and reach your left arm back for a bent right leg. Release that, come back up, and then heel toe your left foot over to the right, coming into pigeon prep. And then forward fold over your bent left leg. Maybe your hands just reach the mat, maybe your forearms, or maybe your chest comes all the way down. Just be accepting of where your body's at today. Really connect to your breath here. Deep inhales and exhales out through your nose. And slowly walk your hands back up, press your hips up, straighten out your left leg, and send your hips down. Just rock forward and back a little bit, and then plant your left hand, send your hips up into fallen triangle on the left side. Plant your right hand, send your left leg back, and option to flow through your vinyasa here. Then from downward facing dog, I hop through my arms, but you can just bring your knees down, find your way onto your sit bones. We're going to take half cow face pose here, stacking knees over each other. Option to straighten out your bottom leg if it's not feeling comfortable, to bend both legs. And then inhale, extend your spine and forward fold over your legs. You should feel a nice stretch in your outer right hip. Slowly walk your hands back up, straighten out your left leg, bend your right, and then inhale, plant your right hand behind you and send your hips forward, reaching your left arm back, hips facing towards the front of the mat. And then exhale, come back down. And we're going to switch sides, stacking left leg on top of right, knees stacked on top of each other. Again, option to straighten out your bottom leg if it feels uncomfortable. And then extend your spine and fold over your bent legs, just walking your hands forward. Walk your hands back in, straighten out your right leg, bend your left, plant your left hand behind you, and then send your hips forward, squeeze your glutes, open your chest, and then slowly release back down. Bring your knees in, slowly lower yourself down onto the mat, and then hook your right foot on top of your left knee and pull your legs in towards your chest. You could have your arms on your shin or maybe on the back of your thigh. Keep your right foot flexed, and this will just get you a nice outer hip stretch. Option to straighten out your left leg and grab your big toe and pull it towards your body. Slowly release and just switch sides. Hook your left foot on top of your right, pull your legs in towards your chest, and enjoy the outer hip stretch on the left side. Keep your left foot flexed. And then again, option here to straighten out your bottom or your right leg and pull it in towards your chest. Or just stay exactly where you're at. Slowly release. Take any final postures you might want. Maybe take happy baby like me. Grab the outsides of your feet and just rock side to side for one final bit of movement. And then release your legs down and come into Savasana. You can stay here for as long as you'd like, but for the sake of this short practice, we're not going to hang out for very long. Bend your knees, roll over onto your right side, and press yourself back up to seated. And then bring your hands into your heart center. Show yourself some gratitude for your practice today. Enjoy all of the emotions that might have come up, whether they're good or bad. Maybe just sit with them and sit with your appreciation for yourself in this practice. Namaste.